you're right. We don't always have a resource.
Yes.
Whether it's our parents or our doctors or others who are experiencing the same thing. So in that case, certainly she just didn't have a frame of reference.
Yes.
Yes.
So in other words, is deal with it. That's going to be the theme of our podcast. Deal with it.
So we're here now.
So we're here to deal with it. Hello again. Welcome again to the So We're Here Now What podcast. Finding the answers to the issues today and get into the root of the problem. We continue now talking to a good friend, Stacy. She's telling us her story. Life sometimes gets in the middle of all things. And so we will continue today talking about things in life, how she coped with issues. And we know that after a little while, she moved from one town to the next, and new jobs, new city, life. And so we come here to this point that we say, so we're here, and now what, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit again now after you went to the doctor, depression was coming to you, doctors were not there exactly the way you needed it, but you continue moving. You were trying to halfway limping.
That's a good way to put it, because that's how it feels. You just keep moving forward.
Yes. And so, well, continue telling us now in life, at this stage in your life, when you're dealing with all these situations, new situations, with people and depression and not having those resources to continue moving in life, what do you do?
Well, I was very fortunate in this, the new job that I had just taken, to find people that I've worked with, amazing people for 22 years, people that have become more than just coworkers. They're friends, and they're not just friends at work. I found a lot of friendships that go beyond the workplace. And I mentioned having taught piano lessons for 12 years, and those were a lot of great relationships built there. So even though my 30s were difficult in terms of experiencing depression and some disappointments, it was also a time where I did experience some really good connections and started to feel some stability in that way. So I worked really hard, though, on my health. Not that I had a lot of guidance, but I did what I could. And so going into my 40s, I was really starting to feel better, and when you feel better, you look better, you just experience life better. And it was kind of a short-lived space, though. My early 40s kind of reflected my early 20s.
Okay.
In that I had some emotional and mental health challenges.
Oh, wow.
I had maybe about a 2 to 3 year stretch with my job and with a personal situation, both kind of happening at the same time, that were characterized by high anxiety situations.
Okay.
Instability, uncertainty, insecurities, and unpredictability. And again, I just didn't have coping skills for these kind of experiences. And I experienced my first and only panic attack during that time. It is an awful experience, and I feel for anyone who experiences them regularly. I remember it was about 11 o'clock p.m. one night. I went downstairs to put laundry in, and out of nowhere, I started hyperventilating, crying. I believe I threw up. Somewhere during this 3-hour episode of this panic attack. And it was just because of the anxieties, the high anxiety situations I was in that physically manifested. And It took till about 2 a.m. that morning to really settle down and just get to sleep. And, you get up and you go the next day, you do what you're supposed to do, but it's still there. And it's really uncomfortable, and you don't know what's going to set it off again, or if something is going to. So that's a one-time experience for me, thankfully, just one time. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that the unpredictability and the anxiety and things like that weren't still there. You learn how to handle them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think what we all do. We just manage. We learn to manage these things we shouldn't have to manage. So I learned a lot during that time. And, again, I just tried to take care of myself and remove myself from those situations. And I did. But it took a lot of time to heal and work through some of those experiences. And then I find myself in my late 40s, again, very similar to my late 20s, where my physical health took a toll. I had West Nile virus. And it was a huge hit to my already wrecked nervous system. It was probably a 3-week stretch where I was actually ill from the virus. I was hospitalized for one night, and my muscle strength deteriorated to the point where I could walk maybe 5 blocks at the most at one time. And it took me about 1.5 years to regain just normal muscle strength. So, again, how do you deal with that when you go from being so active and finally feeling better physically, and then you have a setback like that? And I was fortunate. I really was. I mean, West Nile virus, as you know, your symptoms can be on one extreme or the other. And thankfully I was able to recover fully. Yeah. I know others who haven't and been able to. So, anyway, well, let's add to that.
Bring it on.
Let's add menopause.
Well,
that's fun, So let's just add the menopause symptoms on top of that at that point.
And let me tell you, that to man is a foreign ground. We don't get it. We don't understand it. And, but I think that I think we all need to understand those situations. Because that is the problem, I think, with humanity. We are pretty much to ourselves. We either you hate you become your best friend or your worst enemy. And if you become your best friend, all you want to do is just love me, finding that. And if you are well liked and the world surrounds you, what a great thing, what a great life. But if not, and then you are in the darkness, and that is a very challenging time for females. So tell us a little bit about it, how you coping. Where were your neighbors at that time?
I know.
I want to find out.
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
It's one of those things where, again, back to the doctors, they just tell you, well, that's what age you're at. It's just how it's going to be.
Deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so that's what you do. I went through all of it. The night sweats, the hormone changes, hormonal acne was terrible. Mm-hmm. Mood swings, emotional. It's a wide range of symptoms. I'm sure I had them all.
Yeah.
And it probably lasted a good 2-3 years before I even considered attempting to go the route of hormone therapy. Okay. But that comes in at a later point in time. So I just suffered through it. Yes. I did that. Yes. Like so many other people do. Yeah. That you just suffer through it because your doctor tells you it's how it is. And that's not the right answer, if that's the answer you're getting from anyone.
Yes.
Anyone. There are options.
Yes. But you know what, though? You're touching a point here that I was just thinking that we learn from somebody. I'm not trying to point the fingers at our parents, but unfortunately, sometimes they don't know how to cope in some of those situations. Sometimes parents don't want to talk about certain things, especially dads. Sometimes mom, a lot of these things are taboo. They keep it to themselves, right?
Yes, but in this case, my mom did not experience any of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, how wonderful for her. She didn't have to experience it.
Wow.
So she didn't have that to
That
relate
knowledge.
to. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you're right. We don't always have a resource,
Yes.
whether it's our parents or our doctors or others
Yeah.
who are experiencing the same thing. So in that case, certainly she just didn't have a frame of reference,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. So in other words, is deal with it. That's going to be the theme of our podcast. Deal with it.
So we're here now.
So we're going to deal with it.
So, you know, and then so along with that came the so here we are now. What I had to deal not just mentally but physically with the idea that I would not have my own children. Something, again, going back to how I thought life would go, and you know, it didn't. And so I knew, I always thought to myself, someday it is just going to hit me out of nowhere.
Yes.
Like a ton of bricks, that I can't have my own children. I wouldn't say that it's hit me quite like that yet, but yeah, the realization is there in a different way now.
It is wonderful to hear what you're saying, because I know that, and you know, my wife, we dealt with some situations, and it was the same thing, not having our babies, etc. And it is difficult. My wife was born and with the ideas of getting married with a handsome guy, nothing there, then, and then having children, being a mom, you know, kind of a retire from life and just be a mom and a wife. It didn't turn out that way. So she had to deal with issues. So I think that if she was here right now, she would be agreeing with what you're saying, because she went through it. Yeah. She got married later in time, and it was very difficult. Because, and the reason I bring this up is because it's wonderful to hear, unfortunately sometimes don't happen, that there are some women that want to be mothers, and there are some women that detest it. They cannot see themselves. They don't understand it. They just go at it. We hear about abortions. We hear all those political things that we don't want to get into at this time anyhow. But, and then we have people, women, marriages that want those children. And you begin to ask the question, where's God in all this? What is happening with me? What is wrong with me? And you deal with that, slapping yourself silly for something that is not your fault, for something that perhaps the situation, your world at that time is not giving you what you are expecting. All of those expectations.
Yes, I truly believe the devil puts thoughts in our head that I've had, which were, well, maybe I wouldn't have been a very good spouse.
There you go.
Maybe I wouldn't have been a very good mother.
That's right. When
there's a lot of evidence to the contrary.
That's right. Yes.
I've had a lot of children in my life with piano lessons, niece and nephews, other younger cousins, neighborhood kids, right? You know, some of them. Yes. And friends, kids. And anyway, yeah, you start to ask yourself questions
Yes.
that there aren't answers for.
And some of those are a bunch of lies, as you
Yes.
mentioned. We're a Christian podcast. We telling here, not with myths or religion or anything like that. These are facts. This is a fact. And many people will say on everything that the devil made me do it. Sometimes it's the flesh, sometimes could be the world. But many a times the strategy of this evil is to bring these lies, this poison to throw you over and to kill you. The word of God tells us that your enemy, the devil, only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And I can see that. And those lies come to you, and sometimes you begin to start to believe them.
Yes, limiting beliefs. We all have them. And it's when you do start to believe them that it's a problem.
Yes.
And because that's how you're going to start living. You're going to start living those beliefs.
Yes.
So that was a struggle. I'm very conscious and aware of those thoughts.
Yes.
So I work on my mindset a lot.
Yes. I know that you were, we can just briefly touch on you were part of the Good Sister, Good Brother, what was that?
Big Brothers,
Big
Big
Brothers,
Sisters.
Big Sisters,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. And we're not going to go there, but unless you want to, but yet again, I know that was in a way a good thing.
It was.
You were having this relationship with a young person, and in a way, I don't know, how do you relate that? If you want to talk about it, if not, we can change the subject. But in a brief, how was that time?
It was a way for me to connect with a child. She was 7 when we were first matched. And I specifically asked to be matched with someone young so that I could walk all those following years with her, as much as I was mentoring someone, I did get a lot of reward from that relationship. And it was, in terms of philanthropy too, I learned a lot about myself in that a lot of people have the money to give, and a lot of people have planning skills. They set up events for philanthropic, events, but I like the one-on-one.
Okay.
And that's how I wanted to give.
Yes.
And so,
in a way, it was kind of an adoption kind of a thing, wasn't it?
It was a very, very personal relationship.
Yes.
Yes. You're mentoring someone, but you're also teaching them a lot about life, you hope.
Yes.
And you hope you're providing maybe a different perspective for them.
Mm-hmm. How long were you having this mentoring? Were you within that particular mentoring program? Roughly how many years?
Just over 7 years.
Over 7 years.
Yeah.
Well, it seems just over. That's a long time. 7 years. That's a deep relationship.
Yes. So I hope I made an impact.
Yes.
A positive impact.
Yes. Yes. So you are there dealing with all these situations. At what point this relationship and this particular, you call it Big Brothers, Big Sisters,
Yes.
comes into your life? Is that like lifesaver kind of in a way? Because now you can get involved with this relationship, perhaps to help you, or that just added to all this array of issues that were there?
That's a great question that I haven't thought of.
Okay.
I would say, in one sense, it was a distraction from what wasn't happening in terms of having my own family and children.
Okay.
On the other hand, they become your family to a certain degree. So I'm not sure I have a great answer for that question, but I'll be thinking about that one.
You can think about
I will.
Yes. So you come to this time to where you're dealing with all these issues, depression, and life itself, getting ill one more time, and what are we going to do with this? How are you going to deal with this situation? And we're going to have to bring it back, because I think this is exciting when you get to this point to say, so we're here now, what are we going to do from here on out? And that's exciting. So let us come back on that next episode. I'm excited to hear this special time in your life and how you were able or have been able to manage your life and your story. So don't forget to click like, subscribe, share, and give us your comments. They're important. I'm sure that you can perhaps talk about your situation that we can learn from. We are not in here to criticize. We're just giving you real life situations in our lives. Stacy is a good friend, and we're just talking like friends, and all of this is just personal. We are not advocating for anything but just life. So we'll see you in the next one. Today, we want you to be here on the So We're Here Now What podcast, finding the answers. We'll see you in the next one. God bless you.